Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to our daily trading room. Sorry, I'm glad to see so many of you here, but I think we can have much more people in here who would benefit if they come. I know the recordings are out there, but trust me, you're not getting everything you're going to get on the recordings like if you join us here, because there are a lot of things we discuss before we start recording, and there's a lot of things we'll discuss after we start the record. Stop the recording. So you may want to join live. It's going to be beneficial for you, and you will learn a lot. So let's go. I'm going to start with silver. Normally, we do the trades we're looking at, and then we're going to go. So we're looking for a buy in silver. And I said this morning, when we put the entry order for the buy, is that if this, remember we had a sell here yesterday, we took it off, we put a buy because it was at the top there, and then it started to consolidate. And I was like, okay, if it's coming here lower, we're not selling until we break out of this pattern, right? So for me to decide we're getting a sell here, it has to break out of this pattern and then make a flag here. Now we will consider the possibility of this coming back to retest the low. As of now, this could still be some kind of a flat, running flat in the making for upside. And I have seen those patterns. So as it comes to the bottom here, we would look for a buy setup now. We're absolutely looking for a buy setup. So what I wanted to do is I want this to go up, make a flag, and then we will take this flag to the upside. Now, this could be a long drawn out running flat in the making. We don't know that. It could come back to the top, come back to the bottom. It could be more complex than that, and then take off. So what you're going to do is you're waiting for the setup. And there was no setup for the sell this morning. We saw that possibility, but that was not a great idea. But if it had consolidate here and take off, that would be a great buy idea. So right now, I think what we're looking at is on the 4 hour, if you look at that, is the first impulse up with the consolidation happening here right now. I believe we're getting some kind of a consolidation here, which should take off to the upside. If this is going to drop, let it drop some more, break through that consolidation, come here, make a flag, and then we will sell this to retest the low. Now, this is a pretty sharp move. I don't think it's just going to drop like that. We will make some kind of a running flat. So if it's going to come down, it's going to come down really, really slow. We're looking for the upside. So that entry order as of now is still valid. The only difference now is you will have to put a bigger stop. Right? My traders know how to do that without losing on the lot size you'll put on, right? So this, if this goes up, we want it. If it comes here, we'll take the trade from the bottom, close it, get back again in the buy until we see structural change for the sell. Gold, we had a buy setup and it's still a buy setup. This could be a running flat. If that is a running flat, you definitely want the buy setup. It's here now. If it's a running flat, you want to buy. Actually, if we get a buy setup from this point, if we get a buy setup here, we'll take it from here going. Right? So we're looking for a buy. What would change that to a sell setup? Let's assume for a second that all of this is some kind of a bigger consolidation here. That is the top, and this one is trying to go down. Well, the same thing, let it consolidate here. Once I get that, I'll consider the sell. As of now, we're looking at the buy setup, right? Look at the structure, let it tell you what it's doing. And the upside is a good one. If we get a trade like this today, that would be great. We'll try to get it from the bottom here. On the 4 hour, and sometimes it's hard to believe that the chart will do what you say it's going to do, right? What the pattern you forecast. It's not what I say it's going to do, the pattern that I'm forecasting. So because of the way we are forecasting and from where we are forecasting, it's hard to actually see that happen if you don't understand this method, right? Remember when we were at the top there to come back? So it's good to remind you these stories because only then you would understand. I had a line here and I said, this is going to go break this top and then it's going to come back at the bottom here like this. And I actually showed you what it's going to do. It's going to come back like this and then it's going to go back up. Just about here, I think the war broke out and it made a sudden spike. And a very good friend a very generous person said, hey, somebody should tell him. Meaning somebody should tell him there's a war going on and gold is going to go to heaven. Gold is the go-to thing. And my answer to them is, okay, you wait until it drops and then come back and tell me. And then it starts to drop. Well, he never came back and told me. He should have come and told me. Because that's not what dictates how the market runs. Not that war, not any war. And if you don't understand that, you're literally trading in the dark. It did exactly that. So you have 1, 2, 3. Now I'm telling you, you're focused on this trade. Try to get as many trades as you can to the upside. because so far the chart is showing us that possibility. If that changes, we'll change. We're not like if we're going one direction, we will just stick and go with it. We're looking at what the charts. Read what the chart is telling you. And whatever the chart is telling you is what you're going to do. So far the chart is telling us, great, we're going up. So go back to the 1 hour and you're looking for upside, right? We're looking for upside on this. If it goes up, we'll get a flag. If it keeps coming down, unless I get a correction like this, onto the opposite direction like this, I'm not selling it because the risk is too high for that, right? Let's go. Oh, sorry, not that one. Euro. Euro, we also took off the trade. So you remember you had a trade on this one here yesterday. We took it off here. If you put it back there, you took it off here, put another entry above the top, it's coming down. And we saw that also, but there was no flag to sell. So the possibility is Euro could make a deeper correction. Right, this could be the start of a correction of this move, which means it could probably make a deeper correction here and then go back up. Or is it making a new low? We barely tagged the low. Remember the very start of the week, there's a high probability they could come and tag the low. But this is really sharp. So I don't think that would be the only correction if we're going to go break the low, right? If we're gonna, every time you get a sharp move like that, which is every time you see this, you tend to make a flat and then drop. So are we trying to make another flat here and then drop? That is possible. Right, so if we're gonna make another flat there and then drop, I'll just come back here and say, wait for this to be either a sharp move down, a slow move down. If it comes down sharp, we'll sell, which means very simple, just wait for a flag. You get a 1 hour flag, we'll sell. It makes a 4 hour flag, we'll sell. Right, if this comes down slow, we'll go back up and then we'll drop. That will confirm one more downside. If this just becomes a correction in there, that is total upside. Now, which of those is going to happen? You don't know. You're just in the first pullback. That's just the first pullback. That doesn't mean anything as yet. You can take out this and you can take off the entry. The entry is not really valid, which means we're going to buy, but if we're going to buy this, we're going to be buying it somewhere on this up move. We're going to buy with a flag here because you wouldn't have to put an entry there. So it is still a buy setup. So far, we're looking for a buy. Until we get a structural change, which is we get a consolidation here for a sell. I would leave it as a buy, but I'll put it as a buy in the making, which I think we're using for the buy in the making, we're using something that's supposed to be light green. We don't have light green, we're using this blue for that. Right, that's a buy in the making. We're waiting for a buy setup on that one. Bang. Okay, we had an entry order here, I think, from yesterday. Here, if anybody got tagged in that one, or I think from this morning, maybe. This was what time? Let's see. That could be from yesterday. This is 25th. That was from today, this morning. If you got tagged in that one, I said keep it. Your stop should be under here because we're looking at a possibility that this could have been a running flat. 1, 2, and this goes back up. Well, it dropped a little. So this is how you manage a trade. I think this was a question also this morning. How do you manage trade when they tag you and they go back opposite you? So your stop is here. Whatever your risk is this. Don't allow it to come here. You should never allow that to happen. Whatever the percentage your risk there doesn't matter. It should never get to that level. So now 2 things are going to happen. This one is going to go back up to the top there for a 1, 2, 3, and then drop. This would be a bigger flat. Right, that's one option. In that case, if it goes really sharp, you will take it out for break even. We will look for another setup. Right, we look for a sell setup if we get it. If this actually consolidates only here, we will close this trade for a loss and we'll look for a sell setup there. Because anything that consolidates, it means this is going to continue to drop. Right, and it's not the running flat we think it is, or the running flat we are forecasting right now. If it is the running flat we're forecasting, this could literally go straight out of here, although they pull back that deep. Normally, when it pulls back that deep, it will not go. It can go back up, but it's going to be more of a bigger correction in this level, right? Because if this goes back up here, this becomes the flat in the middle. This would have to come back here. You will get a bigger one. It will go up, and then somewhere in the future, we're going to get this one. Somewhere in the future, we're going to get that one. Somewhere in the, I don't know, near future. So now your job is to get this out for break even or for a much smaller loss. That's it. So we will track this here within the next couple hours, see what it's doing, and you will see how we'll exit it, right? Aussie. We also didn't put the sell, although I told them that there's a very high probability that this one would come down because this is very, very corrective. If you were in this morning, you can watch that. You should go watch that video. This came down, and when they start to do this, they will literally come back here. But we couldn't sell it because there was no sell setup in it. It was just coming here. I think we were somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in here probably. So this looks more like that. And I was like, well, if it still goes up, we'll take the buy because the buy is a good thing if it's still good. But if it's coming down, we will go with a bigger flat soon as this is breaking, and we will wait to see if it goes back up. Anything that breaks this low and consolidate will become the sell. Once it consolidates, if it doesn't consolidate, it reverses. Can we go and retest the low? This one looks very likely that it can go and retest the low because this move is not as sharp as the euro or the pound, right? So this here looks like this could come and retest the low. In that case, all you need is a confirmation here with a flag, and you need that confirmation. If you jump in this sell, don't be surprised when it does that. And that is a question that came up this morning, and we spoke to it because one trader was keep asking me, how do you know when it's reversing? How do you know when it's reversing? And I was, well, all you do is wait for the setup. But if you're asking that much, it means there's an urgency in your advice that shows most of a psychological problem with the trading. So this is not a problem that it dropped there. Don't jump into this. The minute you jump into this, you watch this go back up like that. See this here when it goes there, it came back down like this. If you bought at the top there, you don't have an exit strategy. You just got rid of the possibility for you to get break even in a bad trade, right? Because now you're taking a loss. I don't care what you do, you're taking a loss in that trade, which is exactly what could happen here, right? So what you want is what would give you the exit strategy. And the exit strategy means you want to be sure that it is going to go lower. Some reason why this thing would go lower than it is right now. And the only reason that would make you believe it's going to go lower is when it makes a consolidation, because it's going to make 1, 2, 3. And this, if they reverse from there, gives you break even. See how simple it is? That's it. So you jump into the wrong place, you don't have an exit. You don't have an exit strategy. If you jump into the right place, you get the exit strategy. Right? So this one, we wait for the flag, we will sell. As of now, you can take this out because even if we're buying, we're not really going to buy at the top there. We'll buy from a lower point, which means if it's coming up, we'll take this off. If it's coming up, it has to come back here, make a flag, and then we'll buy the flag. Why buy it here? This would be like the worst case scenario where it goes really fast and then you buy there. If you want to keep an entry order because there's some reason why it will go, I don't know, Australian news coming up tomorrow or so. If that is going to happen, you can put an entry order there for a buy, but you'd have to be there to manage that trade. If you're not going to be there to manage the trade, then don't do that, right? So this is still, so far as we can look at it, this is still a consolidation. The depth of this pullback also tell me there is a high probability of this going back up. So we'll wait in that one. New Zealand, we also put the buy-in in New Zealand. So New Zealand, yesterday, if you remember, we left this here accidentally. Not exactly for a trade, but even if you put it there for a trade, you should remove it. Before the news on any trade, you should, anytime there's going to be a news event and you have an entry order, take it off. We have a specific strategy we use to trade all the news. It's amazing, it works good. 80% of the time, nothing happens using a news. It doesn't go anywhere. We can tell you that because we trade every single one of them. I am personally in the trading room at every news event to do that trading. 80% of the time, nothing happens. When something do happen, we always get a trade because we have a strategy that gives you a trade for both sides, right? This would have been a buy if I was there, probably even from a lower point, not necessarily here because we traded in a much lower time frame. And this would have been a good trade. If you didn't get this one, you would have got some other trade on the New Zealand pair. Now that it's reversing from this point, again, is it trying to make a new low? The only question you ask when you look at it, are we trying to make a new low? Is this trying to come back and make a new low here and then probably go up? That is possible, but every time they wanted to make a new low, it is pretty flat. See the flatness before you make a new low? See this flatness before you make a new low? This one is pretty sharp. It's not flat. So you could also make an assumption that if it is that sharp, are we trying to make a bigger correction before we go up, right? Are we trying to do a bigger correction here? Like probably come back here, do something like this, do this, and then go. Could that be that they're making a bigger correction for upside? If that is so, then we have to wait for the trade. We don't have any trade set up. What would be the trade setup for us today if we're selling it? Make a flag. And if you get a correction like that, we will sell. If you get this, we'll sell. If you get that, we'll sell. Right? Actually, we sold this one. That was a small one, but we don't even have a small one in this one here. So even if we get a small correction, we'll sell it. But you need that correction before you sell, right? So we can take off the buy now because there is no entry order there, but you can take this entry order off, right? This is useless. We're not going to be buying anything at the top there. Even if you have that, we're not going to buy at the top there. We'll wait. This one is from the previous low. We're not going to buy at the top there. We'll wait for this to make either a bigger correction and then go, or we will look for a short-term sell. Swiss, this morning, if you were in the trade, remember yesterday we had a sell which you would have closed for positive or break even, right? Depending on how you trade this, you would close that somewhere in here, right? You would definitely close that somewhere in here, because if you didn't close that somewhere in there, you're looking for trouble, and you would put an entry lower here. Which, when we came in this morning in the room and we saw this, I was like, guys, this looked like it could start the bigger move to the upside for a deeper correction. Something I told you guys when you came in the room on Monday, that this would eventually correct itself. So could this, I know this has more downside in it, that's for sure, right? So could this be making a bigger correction here and then eventually drop? It could. We have seen these big corrections happening, a lot of them. If you go back in the past, you'll see that, you know, there's a lot of big corrections. Could this be reversing from this point? That's a pretty sharp move to reverse from, right? If we think that this is enough for this running flat, this is the one we're making. If we think that is enough, could it be that this is the running flat and we are going up? That is possible. Or we could also possibly get another drop here. We have news in 12 minutes. We're not going to trade the news in this room. Abdullah, we'll trade it in our room. We're not going to trade it in this room, right? So, but thank you for the reminder. We'll trade it only when we're in our trading room. That's a strategy we're not going to use here in this big move. We have FOMC tonight, so all of you guys, I'll be there. Right, FOMC tonight, 9. I would be, if I can't come in this Zoom room, we might possibly use this Zoom. No, that's a bad idea. I was thinking we could use this Zoom for it, but that's a bad idea. So, but I will be there in our room. I'll put out all the setups for you guys, and you can trade it. So 9 p.m. to the FOMC, we'll be trading. My traders, right? So go to the 1 hour here, and let's go. We put the buy entry in, right? We put a buy entry. Also, if you were there this morning, I warn you that it might not really go very fast. Because if you look at it in the 15, it could be that they're going really slow for a correction, right? So it made a flat here. You got this flat here, it made a flat, very nice flat, made an impulse, made another one. And we are assuming that what if this takes off? If you were there this morning, that's exactly what I said. It could do two things. It could take off, or it could just break the top and start to consolidate. Close the trade, put an entry above the top, repeat the process. Close the trade for positive, put an entry above the top. If it's going to drop, if this does this and come here, we would look for a sell setup before it hits this level, right? We'll look for a sell setup with a flag somewhere here or a flag somewhere here, right? But if it is going to continue to go up, you will get the trade, right? Right now, we're assuming that it will go up. We don't know that it's going to go up. So you close the trade, you put your entry above the top. Now you're not in the trade. You have zero risk. You have nothing to worry about. Your problem is gone, and you're not risking a single cent. You already made a few pips out of it. You can buy a hamburger with that. At least depends on the size of your account. You might be able to buy a good meal, not just a hamburger, right? With that. So basically, that's all. We call those break-even trades because it didn't go the way we expected it to go. So now you have an entry above the top. You're looking at this. What's the news, by the way? Talking about that. Those are not serious news. We have a FOMC that would be more serious. So leave that. And this could come down, but we don't have a sell set up. Would we sell this small flag? No. No FOMC tonight. Which day I'm in? I'm in the wrong day. Sorry. We have minutes. We have FOMC minutes at 9 today. Is it Wednesday today or Tuesday? What day is it today? Today is Wednesday. We have FOMC minutes at 9 my time. Is that correct? No, we're not talking about interest rates. We're talking about the ones that we trade. We trade all of them. Here's the thing. We're not trading the news. So that you get this correct, if you want, we don't trade the news. We trade the moment of the news when we know that they can literally use that timing to move the market. We don't trade the direction. The news is irrelevant to us. I don't care if it's going to be up, down. We don't even look at the results of the news. We trade patterns in the news because in the moment of the news, they will move the market with volatility. So if we see a buy setup, we go for the buy. If we see a sell setup, we go for the sell. And if they're going to really move the market big, we'll get a good trade. Like I said, 80% of the time, nothing happens. They don't move the market. So this is coming down, right? But we can't sell this because we are still in this consolidation zone. They can stop and go back anytime. If you're going to look for a sell, you want it to drop. You want it to make a clear flag, and then we look for the sell, right? So right now, you can leave this here. This is useless. We're not trying to get this sell from this point. We want to sell from a much higher point. You can actually leave the entry order there for the buy. Both of those are equal. So I'll leave it like this. Both of them are good, right? We'll try to get this from a much higher point. I think we might even want to consider putting it under this low. That could make sense. Put it under that low, but there's a high risk they can tag you and go back up. We'll manage it. We'll use this low here. Put the entry for the sell here and the entry for the buy there. That's it. If this drops through the bottom, this would be all the correction, right? If it corrects here and go back up, we will get one more small one and then we'll repeat it, put a sell here. This take off this trade for a small thing and let it go again, right? So pretty much small trades. CAD. Let's go. So we're in this one, take this off, take that entry off, it's useless. Take that sell off. That didn't go the way we expect. It actually go back up. Do we have a buy setup? Let's take this off. Let's assume that we're breaking out of this. Let's assume we're breaking out of this. It's not making that big flat we anticipated because this one went up quite a lot. On the 4 hour, you don't really have any buy setup. I'm not buying this at the top here. There's no buy setup in it. It's just making a deeper correction. So you come back to the 1 hour and you wait for the sell setup in it. We don't have a buy setup, especially with this sharp move here and this pullback like this. Let this come back here. It's going to make one more up. If we get a buy setup from here, we'll take it for one more up. We'll have a bigger correction here. These will be smaller corrections, or this could still be a bigger flat and then it drops, right? However you want to look at it, that's irrelevant. But once this correction is finished, we're looking for the sell. We're not looking for a buy setup. Can we sell it from the top here? No, I think that that pattern is not finished, right? This has to pull back here, make a flat, go back up, and then we'll look for the sell. We might even get a buy here. We'll consider that when we come in terms of risk to reward. Yen. Okay, we're still looking for the sell. It's going up somewhat. On the 15 minutes this morning on the Asian session, market was really quiet, so we decided to put a sell under this low. It came down a little. You might want to consider if you want to keep that sell because there was a little flag here. You got a 1, 2, 3, but that 1, 2, 3 is in this one and in this one. It doesn't look like this is the one that is going to break up, but you can keep it there. If it breaks out, if it goes up, it's not a buy. We're not buying it. This is the flat. I think this could go up. This could go up here. We're not buying it. It's this. We'll put an entry here for the sell. You can leave that entry. If it drops to the bottom, we'll manage it, right? It's still a sell setup. So if this drops to the bottom, now we'll manage it. But I think the higher probabilities they'll go up because I'm looking at this as a bigger flat. And the chances are this will just go back up like that. Not really a buy. The risk to reward is no good. You want the bigger drop, the big drop, which would give you the good sell setup. Right? Like these big drops we got yesterday. Those are the ones that make you profit. So let that do what it's doing, and we're looking for the sell. Euro Swiss, you're tagged in this one. If you moved it up higher, you did well. If not, you're tagged in this. Watch this trade. This is the trade we're looking for. Good trade so far, right? Keep an eye on it. We're expecting it to come here, and then we'll be looking for the upside. Pound Yen. You're tagged in the Pound Yen trade. If you were here this morning or yesterday, we moved it to this level under the last impulse. You're tagged in that trade. It's going good so far, nothing to worry about. When it breaks this low, then we'll manage it. From that point, we'll manage it. We'll see what happens there, right? Aussie Yen. We closed this sell for profit. You would have closed it somewhere. We didn't put any other entry order on. This was a risky, what is the orange for? A risky what? Buy, I think, right? We're looking for a possible risky buy, but I don't think we took it because even if you take it here, you will close it in this range. right? So there was no buy. If it was above the top, then that's a different story. Now, initially, I thought this could be the running flat. This could be the contracting flat, and we go, but it looks like it's not a contracting flat. We're still going down. So we're still in the consolidation. All of this would still be consolidation. This might not go very far, right? It could break this low and then go right back up, because this still looks like a flat in the making. So this trade might not be a big one. There's no trade to get there. Let it drop. I'll take this off. We will wait for this to give us a better, because this is making a bigger correction for upside. This here is making a big correction. You need to break the low. We don't have risk and reward to break that low. We took the trade yesterday from here. You would have closed it here, take that profit. Wait for this to drop, break the low, and then we were looking for that trade to the upside. Right? If it is going to continue to fall, we will have to wait for another flag to get it. Aussie Swiss. So this one didn't go. You had an entry above the top there. If it tags, you take it out, take a loss in it. You have to have a stop here. You have to accept that loss. If you got tagged, I didn't think anybody got tagged. It's above this stop. It didn't go anywhere. I can't remember if we put this on. Then we put this on this morning. I think this one actually went on this morning. Yeah, because we didn't do anything with yesterday. We put this on this morning. If you had taken the trade here yesterday, you closed that trade. So this entry is here, it dropped, make a new low. We're not looking for a sell. Again, I'm not looking for a sell at the bottom of these structures. If it's going, it has to break out of the structure, make a very big consolidation, then we sell. Because this would give you a good risk to reward trade. But in this small one, all they need to do is tag the low and go right back up. So we're expecting to wait for the turn, and every buy setup it gets, we will try to get the buy setup. Aussie CAD. Okay, this was the buy. We closed the trade. We'll come to that in a second. Don't worry. Aussie CAD, this was the buy. You close the trade here and you put an entry above the top. Right? You would do that. It's coming down, so we'll take off all of these. Right? Take off this one. And take off this, because that's no longer a buy. You can put this trend line like this, and we're coming down very sharp. If we're going to make a new low, if this is going to make a new low, you need a flag. So as soon as we get a flag here, we'll consider that sell. Wait for the flag and then consider the flag. We'll come to those trades just now, Mike. Let's finish these first. Sorry, next one, New Zealandian. We are looking at the trades first that we had entry orders on. What happened to them? So this one here, I didn't think we did anything earlier. We put an entry order here this morning. It's coming down. We'll take that entry order off. That entry order is not valid anymore. It's coming down really sharp. We don't have a sell setup. Again, you don't have a sell setup in this. You're still in the up pair. It barely broke the top. So if this is all the correction to drop, let's say this is this flat. This one was a contracting flat. The first sell you would have got was this one, then this one, then this one, right? So this makes a flag here. We'll go with this sell. Break the low. We'll go with that to break the low. So this is the trade you're looking for. It has to give you the confirmation, because they can stop here and go back up, right? And if you try to jump in that trade, that is what is going to happen to you. So wait for this to make any 1 hour flag, maybe 15 minutes flag, will take the trade, right? Because we're pretty much still doing this, right? It can just come back to the bottom here and then go right back up without any flag. So with the flag, you would get a guarantee you're going down more and you'll get a trade set up. CAD. This is the sell. This morning, I think we put this on either yesterday or this morning. It is under this low, the last impulse up. This is the impulse up. You put the entry here. You're looking for that trade. That is going good. So you have 3 trades that are going well. Most of them didn't get tagged. That's okay. So you should be in this trade going. It's under the last. So I think we put this on this morning, right? You can watch the recording from this morning. You'll get it. That trade is going good. And this one. Okay, this has gone way up to the top there. It's still a correction, but you wouldn't sell it from here, right? You would wait for it to start a drop, make a flag, and then sell. So we'll just take this off. You can still wait for the sell setup, because it's still more of a correction. I don't think if this is going to take off, you would need a flag like this before you buy. You would need something like this to confirm that there's more upside in it, right? This could be a deep pullback. This could be a pullback, and then you take that one to go. Right now, this looks like a flat that could drop. So you wouldn't be buying into it. See? That's it. We looked at this. We changed the US 30 from a buy to sell because you closed the buy. So if you had bought it yesterday, we had an entry order from here. If you had an entry order there, you closed the trade. It didn't go anywhere. By rule, you close the trade. We have rules for that. And we put an entry order here for a sell, but we decided if we get a flag earlier here, we'll sell that. We're still downside, right? This is still going down, right? You can see that. Literally, that's a correction for downside. So an entry order for a sell here is a good idea. We also have the entry order for the sell here. This one didn't break the top, but it doesn't necessarily have to break the top if you're contracting. If it's a contracting flat, it could drop from there. And we didn't put anything here because this one is pretty low. The other ones didn't break the top, but they at least came back to the top. This one didn't come back to the top. So we didn't put the entry order here because the risk is they can tag you and then go back up. You'll get a flat there and then go with this, right? So you don't want this to happen. If you know patterns, you would assume that that could happen, so you wouldn't take the trade. Right? We're not going to take that trade because that's a high risk trade. Now let's go. That is for the trades that we had yesterday. We go through each one of them every single day, every single session, 5 times a day, 6 times a day, however much session we do. You go through them so you would know what you're doing with the trades that you're in. Which one to take off, which one to keep, which one you're moving stops. And then we manage them as we go, right? We don't, so you see what happens to the trade calls we make. And then we look at the rest of them to decide what trade calls there is to make, and then we'll go with them. So everybody was saying Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. What is on the Aussie that is so urgent? Nothing on the Aussie. We're waiting on it. It has to make a flag. That will take 4 or 5 hours before you get a trade. If it's going to go back up, it still has to make an impulse, make a flag. That is 2 hours for a 15-minute flag before we get a trade. Dollar CAD, I think we looked at this already too. We took off the trade. We don't have any trades set up on it, right? You can't buy it to the top there unless you get a correction, and you can't sell it to the top there. Right? Because the sell is only going to do, if this is a running flat, the sell only has to come here and then go right back up. By the time you get a flag here and you put an entry here, their stop is going to be here. This is not a risk to reward trade. And the good thing is it could tag you really fast and go there, and now you're taken out of that trade. And you wonder what the hell just happened to you. That was a wonderful trade you're in, you're up 10 pips, and now you're losing that trade and you don't know what to do. Well, look at the patterns and figure out what they're doing, right? We're going to come to the euro yen as well. So I'm going to go through all the other trades. We don't want this to be too long. I'm going to go through them really quick, and then we'll come back and look at trade, whatever questions you have and whatever patterns you want me to look at. I think we might be tagged on the Swiss very soon. Let's go back on the sell side of the Swiss. Yep, we are tagged on the sell side of the Swiss. So I'll take this sell out. That was yesterday. Sorry, take that off, not to confuse us. Put this here. Take off the buy. It's no longer valid. If you had the buy, take it off. Now we're in the sell side and we're waiting for the next drop. All right, let's put it in the 1 hour. Where could that could drop quite well. We'll see how far it goes. Once it breaks this low, you're going to be very careful, because when it breaks that low, you're going to have more divergence. You already have divergence, right? And when we break this low here, if and when it breaks that low, you're going to have more divergence. At any point in time, it can start to go back up for a big correction. So we're going to manage this trade really, really close. Because it's a pretty risky trade. There's a reason we put it in like that for both sides. It's risky. Keep the trade. We're only in the first hour. No need to worry, right? We'll close it. If it doesn't go, the worst case is you get a small loss. You don't have to worry about it, right? Your stop for this trade, your stop should be here. This is the impulse down. So your stop should be here. That's your risk. This is what you're risking. 1%, 2%, whatever your account, that's what you're risking. We will, if this doesn't go, we're going to close it before it gets back to this level, right? Anyways, let's go. So I'm going to go really quick now, right? Let's see what we're doing with this. Nothing. It's still going back up as we expected, but these are not trade setups. Those are waste time. That's it. Aussie, we looked at it already. We need, if it's going to go back up, we'll look for a buy. If it's going to consolidate, we'll look for, so I think the upside is more likely. New Zealand, same here. If it's going to go back up, we'll wait for a buy setup. This would be a bigger correction. If it is actually going to go down, we wait for a flag. That's about 6 hours from now. CAD, I just showed you, right? We're not doing anything there. Same thing. Euro New Zealand, this is the big one. I explained this many, many times. This is, I still think this is upside. The big picture is still upside, right? The big picture is still upside. That is a consolidation. If you looked at it, we're making consolidation here. It's just a bigger consolidation. It will come down a little more, and then we're looking for that trade up. So don't try it. If you didn't get the sell, don't worry about that. Worry about getting the buy when it comes down, right? So I think they will break this low. We'll make a correction in here. This first move had a correction. See this here? That had a flat. So this is your first one. They'll probably come down here tonight, go back up there tomorrow. We'll probably get a trade down here, and then we'll get a trade up. By the way, Tariq, this morning you weren't in the room. Congratulations, you got this pattern correct, right? The expanding flat. And like I said, I didn't think it was an expanding flat, but you got it right. And if it is an expanding flat, you have to get a flag here, which is what it did. It dropped here, made a flag a little deeper, but then it dropped. So good job. Tariq is one of the traders in my room. Yesterday, I don't know if you guys were in the room, and he said, could that be an expanding flat? And I didn't like it as an expanding flat. Turned out he's correct, right? So great. See, that's why we make good traders in our room. So, right? That's amazing, right? Look for this. This will probably consolidate or some more. EuroCAD, let's see what this is doing. Okay, so EuroCAD, this was a buy, this was a buy. You close it, take off all these are buys. Now it's coming down. What do? We don't have a sell setup, right? We're going to get a sell setup if this actually consolidates here, and then we will go for a sell. If it goes back up to the top, it will make a big flat here, and then we'll buy. Can we trade inside of this range? Let it start the range. We'll see. We might trade inside the range. Euro Oz, nothing, no trade, leave it alone. Euro Yen. Okay, Euro Yen is coming down. We anticipate that. We didn't trade it because we were waiting for this running flat to finish. Come back here and then go back up. Right, that's the trade we're looking for. And then when this is over, then we look for a sell. Can we buy this? If we get that, we'll buy it. If we get a buy setup there, we'll take it. We didn't take the sell setup because it's a running flat. When it makes a running flat, the sell setup is too risky. This is, you see, we broke the top. What that means, they don't have to break this low. A running flat means we don't have to break this low. So this move down here could stop right where it is and go back. It could come a little deeper and go back. That would be a perfect flat. We'll look for this one, and then we'll look for the downside. So we saw that, but we're not selling that. We are selling the yen. We sold the pound yen. We're selling the dollar yen. We're not selling the euro yen because I don't like that piece, right? I hope that helps. Let's go. Euro pound. This was a nice profitable trade you guys got yesterday, and I hope you closed it to the top here, which is what you should have done, and put an entry at the top. We took off that entry this morning because it's coming down back already. So all my traders who took the trade would try to close it at the top there with that consolidation, and your entry should go above it. This is answering the question I answered this morning and repeat it again. Even if you're long-term in it, you don't have to keep it, because then you're going to give back everything you had, which is what's happening here. If you try to keep that to go break the top, which is what we assume it's going to do, it could make a deeper correction, then go. So if you took this and you didn't close it, now you're back at square one, which doesn't make sense, right? The best thing is using the money, the trade management we use, we would close it right here and put an entry above the top. Right? So this is a deeper correction. Great. We'd look for a buy setup again. Let it make the correction and we look for the buy setup again. Pound Swiss. We had this trade on, but I didn't put anything on. I think we had a sell setup from here yesterday. I just forgot to take it off, but if you kept that, you close it somewhere here, right? Because that's not a sell. That sell was going to come a little lower. We anticipate the move, but the stop would have been too big. So you would have taken out that sell. If you kept it, the worst case is you got positive. It's coming down. I think we'll get to this level, but it's coming down slow, which means it's going to pull back, drop a little, pull back, drop a little. You'll start to see something like this. And if we get this, we want to buy. We're looking for a buy to the upside. This thing is about to finish, right? So remember, sorry, I think yesterday we were looking for, if this is going to go, there's a 90% chance it get to the 270, right? Somebody was talking about the 270 and I was explaining, and that is why we put this. So you can take this off here now, right? It could come lower. The sell setup is not great. We saw it this morning, but the sell setup is not great. Trade something else that has a pound in it, right? If you think this is moving because of the pound, if it's moving because of the Swiss, trade the Swiss dollar, or trade something else with a Swiss in it. Trade the Euro Swiss, for example. We're in the Euro Swiss sell. This is the Swiss dropping right now. Pause. Nothing. Still nothing. We're still in this consolidation. Don't try to buy it to the top here. It's too dangerous. I don't know that this consolidation is over. You don't know that either. Pound CAD. By the way, how's the pound yen doing? A little pullback, don't worry, it always pulls back a little. This is only the second hour. We will close this if it stays there for another hour. So if we notice that this pullback is becoming more of a flag, right? Like if it's coming back here in the next hour and it's doing this, we'll close the trade and put an entry here. But you need a small flag, right? Something like this, not just on the first hour pullback. That's a consolidation. So we'll wait. If the next hour stays here, you close it, right? So this could be a small, they do make small flags in between and drop. So wait for the small flag and then drop. Pancada. You're getting a buy setup. It is a risky trade in that I don't know how far it's going to go. And the reason I don't know how far it's going to go is because of this pattern. See, we have one here. We have a really big flat and we're going up. Now this could go really far, or it could just break this top like this and then come back down. So if you're going to take the trade, you must know the risk. Now, I think we believe CAD could go up higher because it's starting to go higher, or pound could go up higher. If pound is going to go up higher, this would be a good trade, right? Which one is it going to be, pound or CAD? I don't know. But if you want to buy it, you can put an entry here. I will put this as a high risk buy. You'll have to be able to manage it. So that's a buy. Our high risk buy is actually the purple one, right? That's the high risk buy, I believe so. Let me just make sure. Yep, that's the high risk buy. So we need to change those colors. Can somebody tell trading view, give us 3 shades of green and 3 shades of red? Somebody write trading view. All of you should write. Tell them we want 3 shades. We want to change that thing to get our own color. 3 shades of red, 3 shades of green. So we can put the risk colors in the same color we want, right? And we'll take this trade and see how far it goes. Now you'll have to manage this. It can do this and come back. So we'll have to either accept the loss, put a stop here. Put a stop exactly that. You'll have to accept this loss. You can reduce your risk and put a stop there, right? Pound New Zealand, let's go. This is starting to go back up, and this one we expect to go back up, right? Remember I told you yesterday this could drop to the bottom here like this here, but you can't bet on it dropping to the bottom. So the sell here, if you take it, was really high risk. It could have just breaking the low and go back up like that. So now it's going back up here. We want this. You want a small flag here, and then we're taking the trade back to the top. We're going for this trade back to the top. So let's see, do we have a flag? Not on the 1 hour, let's see on the 15. Do we have a flag on the 15? Not a flag as yet. It could be a small running flat, but it's not a flag. It has to come back here. And if it comes back here, we'll go to small running flat, we put an entry here. We're going for this, put it at break even and let it break out. Right, so this was a small one, but the risk was this would just break the low here and go back up. You wouldn't get a trade. It dropped a little more, no big deal. All right, so now we wait for the trade. Let's go, Aussie yen. Let's see. We had a sell on the Aussie yen yesterday. I think we closed that one. We had a sell here. We closed it in the London session. You should have closed it somewhere here or somewhere here for profit, right? It's going up, it's coming back down. So we're still in some kind of a consolidation, or we just closed it. I can't remember where we closed this. That had a sell. Aussie, New Zealand. Aussie, New Zealand, we have a total different forecast in it now because we look at the daily structure. And there's a good chance that this could go down back from that point, right? If you relook at the pattern like this as a 1, 2, 3, a correction, a 1, you can even take all of this as a correction, right? All of that as the correction. And a 1, 2, 3, another correction, 1, 2, 3 here, right? This correction here. Let me clear it. I'll clear it back so all of you can see it clearly how we're looking at it. Let's take everything out. Remove all the drawings and you're looking at it this way. Let's start with a big top, right? So this is the line, you just pull this across here and you notice we're somewhere there. Then we would look at this one. You can look at this. All of this could be a correction, all of this here, including this piece, right? If this is an expanding flat in the middle. And then you have a 1, 2, 3 here. See the smaller one, smaller version of this. So you have 1, 2, 3. See this one here? You have 1, 2, 3. Now, this is a big correction here, and this is a big correction, this one, because it came back pretty deep. So you can make an argument that that is a big correction. And if we're right about that, then we're actually looking at something that looks like this, 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 this. Can we come back to the bottom here? Right? Can we come back down as a 1, 2, 3, like a 1, 2, 3? and then go back up really sharp like that. Not like this one, but really sharp like this. Complete the pattern and then drop. Now that looks like a possibility, right? It looks good. If that is the possibility, then here's what you're going to do. Start looking for sell setups there. Go back on the 1 hour. And although it was looking more like it was going to go upside, if they consolidate here, you want to sell. You definitely want to sell this. So you can put an entry order here for a sell and put this as a sell. For the first time, we're going to put an entry order on that as a sell. If it goes really, really slow, you take it off because this thing is known to move really slow. New Zealand Swiss. It went up, it's coming back down, it's still in the consolidation, leave it alone. New Zealand CAD, it's not, you're not going to get good trades and you're not able to break even on it, right? This one actually went up. We had the entry order here yesterday. I took it out this morning because that is not a trade. Again, that was a news-driven one. I wasn't there, so I would not count it as you making a trade and taking profit. If my traders were there, they would trade it and they would make profit because it's a perfect flat for upside. But if I'm not there, I'm not going to assume that we made profit on that, right? Let's just keep this very transparent. I wasn't there. It goes up. Great. The pattern is perfect. We weren't there. If I was there, I'll take off the trade. I would advise that you take off the trade before the news as well. Unless you're going to be trading the news itself, which means you're at the moment trading when the news is happening, then you will get a different whole strategy to trade. Right? We will be using that strategy this afternoon, but it's a totally different strategy. And we already looked at those CAD Swiss, nothing here. I think nothing in this, still nothing in this. It's going down, but we don't have a bigger, we need a bigger pullback. I didn't see the sell setup there. It's too sharp. Put it this way, you can see that. This was too sharp. You need this to go back up. You need this one here to go back up like this flat here. This was a sell. You need this to go back up here, make that, and then we'll get a sell setup. We don't have a sell setup right now, right? So let it go down, we'll see. Swiss yen, we didn't sell it, we didn't buy it because it was doing nothing. Now it looks more like a buy. Swiss dollar is coming down, so if this wants to take off, this could be a buy. Can it still drop more? Can this still come back here? I think so. If you want to buy, you have to buy above that top. Right, when this is finished, it will break out. So we'll wait on it, right? If you want to buy a buy setup now, you have to put it here. That's a buy in the making. I don't think this is, I think this one still looks like it can drop one more. We wouldn't buy it here because we didn't break this low. We are exactly, if it comes break the low, then you put the entry order here for the buy. You can put that as a buy in the making. That would be, a buy in the making would be this one, I think, right? Yeah, that's a buy in the making. And this went up to the top there, so you close it. Look for a sell setup from the top here. You can look for a sell in the making, right? Which means you're looking for this to come down here, make a flag, and then you sell the flag. So, okay, guys, we've completed it. Let's go through the rest of the thing really quick because this is a long webinar. Natural gas, we don't have anything. It's going up if you bought, take profit, close it. Remember I said, if you buy this, you'll have to watch when it breaks the top, right? When it breaks the bigger top, that is this one here. And we already just broke that top. So now you got to be really careful because this could come right back down. Oil. If it makes another flag, you can buy again. Oil is consolidating. We're still in this consolidation here. It probably could do something like this, maybe go back up, you get a small one like this. But this is sharp, so there's a good chance you're going to come back here, make a flat, go back up there, and then drop. You're just making two flats in the middle of this, right? That's a correction. So if you make another flat here, if this makes another flat here, go back there, come here, this would be a flat. We'll go back up there, and then we're going to drop like this. This is the B part, this is the impulse, this is the impulse. You go back up there, complete this one, and then you drop. Pretty easy, not that difficult. So we'll see how to do with that, right? UK oil is the same thing. PayPal, it's not doing anything. It's still where it is, right to the bottom there. You can close the trade. It came back to the top many times. It's coming back here many times. It's probably will still go a little more. Close the trade, take it off. It's not useless. I mean, you had many times chance to close down, and 1 hour it actually went back up. See, it went back there to that level. It's not going. It probably will go back up again. I think it's useless. Wait for it for a better thing. It probably will consolidate some more and drop. Tesla, we don't have anything. This one, the buy on Tesla is off. If you want to put the buy, they take it off because it dropped lower. right? You drop lower. I don't think you want to sell it to the bottom there. Not a good idea. Wait for a buy setup. Amazon. Nothing here too. No buy setup, no sell. US 30, I already showed you. We're putting a sell entry. This one we have a sell entry, and this one we don't have anything, right? So we wait. This one we have a buy entry. DAX, we have a buy entry to DAX. You could move that entry to the last impulse, which is this. And if this takes off here, this is the trade we're looking for, up to the top. And when it gets there, we'll see what happens. So that's the trade we're looking for the upside. Nifty, it's coming down slowly. So if you're in the trade, you have to be careful, but it's coming, but slowly. It'll probably get to about this level, consolidate, maybe go back up, and then drop one more before it goes. So this is just making this flat. If this actually go through the bottom, look to take profit somewhere here. That would be a good place to take some profit. Let's go. Bitcoin. What do we have in Bitcoin? It's still consolidating, but I like the consolidation now, right? It's looking really good. So you've got this consolidation. Remember the classical drawing you're looking for. This could even come back here. It doesn't matter. Just keep your entry above the top. So if you get a sudden spike like that, that would be the trade you're looking for. As long as they stay here, you don't have to worry about it. But if you get that sudden spike, that's the trade. Then you make money. Can you put it lower, put the entry lower? Well, you can. I would probably put the entry lower in this case, let it come and break these lows, let it break this low, come down back, then put the entry above the top here. That would make sense. Ethereum is the same thing. All of them will get the same thing. See, same sideways move. This one has the same sideways move. Same thing. Big impulse, sideways move. You can literally see that. It's all sideways move. This one is not over. We haven't broken that low. So it's going to come lower and then take off. This will come lower. You can take that off. It will come lower. Let's see this. Same thing, this is coming down. You have a flat in the middle here. You can see this, you have a flat here. It's coming down, you're making a 1, 2, 3, put it that way. Take this off, you can put it above the top, it's useless, but you're looking at this, right? This has a 1, 2, 3, you're making a 1, you probably make a 2 here, you go for a 3 there, and then go back up. Once it makes this, you can put an entry here. We'll bring that entry down to this level. Once we break this low here, and then you look for that move up. If that takes off really big, you get it. If not, it comes only break the stop to go down, you will put an entry to sell. So we're gonna manage this trade to go lower, right? Keep an eye on that. Let's see this. Same here, this is dropping. Once we break these lows, it's going to go a little lower. We're gonna put this line like this. And we'll put an entry at above this stop here. Let it go a little lower. It has to go through these bottoms first. Let's see this one. It probably has to come down some more, and then we'll pull this and put an entry above this top. Let's go with this. I don't know. We closed this trade already, right? If you got tagged in it, you close it. This is what dash, close it, put an entry above the top. Link. This is also going sideways. I think we're gonna go lower. You can literally see this. So you have a 1, 2, 3 here. You're making a 1, you probably make a 2, you come back here for a 3, and then we look for this like that. We'll put an entry here or here for the up move. Right, so let it come down some more. You can keep the entry above the top now if it just takes off now, right? Contracting flat, it takes off. But if it comes lower, then it makes a regular flat, and that's a trade you want. So let's go with that. Same thing here. This is sharp. This is corrective. Let it go down more. This one is pretty long, so I don't have to. You don't have to be worried about it, right? That this could come a little more here. This one could come here, and then the upside would be perfect, right? You'll be looking at this for a perfect upside move. Wait for that trade. This, nothing. Stay away from that. This one, it's coming down, but it's coming down pretty deep here. You will get an upside. When it comes here, it will go back up, but then when it breaks this top, the chances are you're looking at a 1, 2, 3 flat for one more down. Probably all of them could have the same structure, but once they go back up, you'll get a chance to get out for break even. Right, you get a chance to get out for break even if they drop again with profit. Put an entry order above this here. Let's see what happens. This is going up slowly. So it's either it's making some kind of a running flat or it started that climb to the upside. So put an entry order above the top. This time we'll try to stay with it if it goes. This one is pretty good, right? It's have a very sharp move, really sharp move, and they're just going sideways. which is classical, right? This could take off anytime. Good trade, I like it. And I like this one as well. This one is, we broke the top, but it could be that this is trying to make a running flat. Either this is making 1, 2, 3, and you're going to drop, wait for a consolidation here before you decide you want to sell it. Or it's actually coming back here and go back up to make a running flat, an expanding or running flat, right? Either is possible. Since all of them still have upside, there's a good chance this is having a running flat pattern, which will be something like this. Come back here, expanding flat will be something like this, come back here and then go. So that possibility exists that you're making an expanding flat, because all of them have upside patterns. This can't be the only one with the downside pattern. Put an entry above the top. If you want to sell it, wait for a consolidation here. Uni, same thing, it broke out. I think 3 of them broke out of the pattern, but they didn't go. So you close the trade and you put the entry above the top. If they drop, you're not in the trade. And this one, although you're long-term on them, right? We're long-term on these trades, but you don't have to stay with it if it's not going. This is going down. I think it can go down some more. I think this can go down somewhere here. This one could pretty much do this, drop, and then take off. Once it do that, we'll put the insurer here. Right, it drops a little more, we'll put the insurer there for the buy. And this here is, this one broke out also. It didn't go, we closed it, we put the insurer above the top. Again, it's coming down. So, you know, this can come back here to this level, and then we'll probably go with an expanding triangular pattern for upside, because they're all looking upside. If this is dropping, let it break below, then we'll look for a buy setup. Don't try to sell it, it's useless. You don't want to sell into that thing going, right? Because you don't know where it stops and go back up. If it's an expanding triangular pattern, you're going to go right back up from there. And that is not a good idea, right? So let's go. Okay. I think we can stop the recording there, and then we will look, we'll take some question Q&A, and then we'll look at some other things, and we can do anything you guys want to do. So I'll just stop the recording. You don't want it too long.